Jung, Man and His Symbols.
Okay, so are you ready to dive deep today? Because you guys have provided us with some really fascinating material.
Yeah, this is going to be good.
Yeah, it's all about symbols, right? Like, what's the hidden meaning? And at the center of it all is this book, Man and His Symbols, by Carl Jung.
A classic. For a reason.
It really is. And what most people don't realize is that Jung almost didn't even write it.
Really?
Yeah, so picture this. It's 1959, and this TV producer approaches Jung. He's like, hey, I have this great idea. Let's make your theories about the unconscious, accessible to everyone.
Wow. Talk about a challenge.
Right. And keep in mind, Jung, well, he actually believed at the time that his work was, and I'm quoting him here, too difficult for the average person.
I mean, I can kind of see where he was coming from. The unconscious, that's deep stuff.
You're telling me. But here's where it gets really interesting. So Jung, he has this incredibly vivid dream. And it's this dream that actually convinces him to write the book.
Whoa, his own unconscious giving him the green line. That's kind of amazing.
Right. It's like his unconscious was saying, hey, this needs to be shared with the world. So he listened.
It's true what they say. Dreams are the royal road to the unconscious.
Okay, so speaking of dreams, how do we even begin to understand what ours are trying to tell us?
Well, the first thing is to realize that dreams aren't meant to be taken literally. It's not like you dream about winning the lottery and bam, it happens the next day.
Oh, that would be nice.
Right. But no, dreams, they speak in symbols. They're like messages from the unconscious, and we need to learn how to decode them.
So it's like our unconscious is sending us a telegram.
Exactly. And those telegrams, they can be pretty cryptic. But that's where the real insights are hidden.
So where do we even start?
Well, this is where Jung differed from Freud. Freud, he was all about repressed desires, right?
Right. So forget about all that.
Jung thought that was just the tip of the iceberg. He believed dreams are about so much more than just our hidden desires.
So what were they about then?
For Jung, it was about communication. Dreams are our unconscious mind's way of talking to our conscious mind.
Okay, so it's like a direct line to our deeper selves.
Exactly. And just like any language, dreams have their own symbols and grammar.
So how do we become fluent? Asking for myself, obviously.
Of course. Well, one of the most important things you can do is start paying attention to those symbols.
Okay, so not ignoring them. That's good advice for life in general. But seriously, what do we do?
Write them down. Keep a dream journal. As soon as you wake up, jot down everything you can remember, no matter how strange or insignificant it seems.
Even if it's just a jumble of images and feelings.
Especially then. Those seemingly random details, they often hold the most important clues. And then you start to look for patterns.
Okay, so we're like detectives of our own minds. I can dig it. But what are we even looking for?
Well, think about it like this. Let's say you keep having dreams about being chased. Now, on the surface, that might seem like a straightforward fear.
Right, who wants to be chased?
But what if it's not about being chased literally? What if it's a symbol for something else going on in your life? Maybe you're feeling overwhelmed at work, or in a relationship, or even just by life in general.
So the dream is trying to tell me something. It's like, hey, pay attention to this feeling of being chased because it's showing up in your waking life too.
Exactly. It's about decoding that symbolic language.
Wow. And we're just getting started, right? There's so much more to uncover about how our unconscious minds are trying to guide us.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not just dreams. Sometimes our unconscious speaks through physical symptoms too. We're talking about those moments when our bodies seemingly betray us.
Wait, what do you mean, like when we get sick?
Well, it can be more than that. Think about those times when someone suddenly can't swallow or breathe or even walk, and there's no clear physical explanation. It's like their body is suddenly rebelling.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's a little unnerving.
It can be.
Yeah.
But what's fascinating is that Jung believed these seemingly random physical symptoms, they could actually be the unconscious mind's way of trying to communicate something important. It's like the body is putting on a play, and the unconscious is the playwright.
Okay, so if our bodies are putting on plays, how do we get our unconscious minds to just text us the message?
Well, sometimes a more dramatic approach is necessary. But seriously, if you're experiencing something like this, it's worth exploring what might be going on beneath the surface.
So if you're listening out there and you're dealing with a mysterious ache or pain, ask yourself, what might my body be trying to tell me?
It might be more than just a pulled muscle.
Lots to think about already, and we're just getting started. You ready to go even deeper?
Let's do it. And it's not just about like our personal dreams, right? Jung, he also believed that dreams can give us these glimpses into like these bigger patterns in life, these universal experiences. And that's where archetypes come in.
Archetypes. Okay, yeah, this is where things get really juicy. It's like we're zooming out from like my dream about failing a test or whatever to this bigger picture of like the human experience, right?
Exactly. Think of archetypes as these like universal patterns and images that we all share. They're in our collective unconscious, this deep well of, shared experiences and symbols that connect all of us.
So it's not that like everyone's having the exact same dream, but that our dreams are all drawing from this same pool of archetypal imagery.
Exactly. And it's not just dreams. These archetypes, they pop up everywhere. Myths, stories, art, even in our everyday lives.
Okay, so give me an example. Like, what's an archetype?
Well, think about the hero.
Yeah.
Or the wise old man, the great mother, the trickster. These aren't just characters in a story. They're like these fundamental patterns of human experience that have been around forever.
So when I'm watching a movie and there's that like wise old mentor character who guides the hero, that's an archetype playing out on screen.
Exactly. That's the wise old man or woman archetype. And we recognize it even if we don't realize it consciously because it's tapping into something deep within us.
That's so cool. It's like these archetypes, they're like these secret codes that unlock something deeper about the story.
And about ourselves. Jung believed that by understanding these archetypes, we can actually start to understand ourselves better.
Okay, so how does that work? Like if I'm constantly dreaming about, I don't know, let's say losing my voice, what archetype am I supposed to be seeing there?
Well, it's not always about finding a one-to-one match. Remember, dreams are symbolic. But losing your voice, that could be about feeling powerless or like you're not being heard.
Yeah, that actually resonates a lot.
Right. So maybe there's something in your life where you're feeling like you don't have a voice.
Oh, wow. See, I would have never made that connection on my own.
That's the power of working with archetypes. They can help us see things in a new light, understand our experiences in a deeper way.
Okay, so there's the hero, the wise old man. What are some other common archetypes we should be on the lookout for?
Well, there's the great mother, which represents, nurturing and caring. There's the shadow.
Oh, the shadow. That sounds kind of ominous.
It can be. The shadow represents those parts of ourselves that we tend to hide or deny, the parts that we're ashamed of or afraid of.
So all the stuff we try to keep buried deep down, like our own personal demons.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Jung believed that the shadow isn't inherently bad. It's just a part of us. And in fact, by confronting our shadow, by integrating it into our conscious awareness, we can actually become more whole and complete individuals.
So it's not about pretending those shadow parts of ourselves don't exist, but about like actually acknowledging them and figuring out how to work with them.
Exactly. It's like, imagine you're constantly judging other people for being, say, materialistic. Now, maybe you have good reason to judge, right? But what if, deep down, that judgment is actually coming from your own shadow?
Okay, I'm not sure I follow.
What if, deep down, you're actually afraid of your own capacity for materialism? Maybe you're afraid of becoming greedy or selfish. So you project that fear onto others as a way of avoiding it in yourself.
So it's like a defense mechanism. I'm judging others to protect myself.
Exactly. And by confronting that shadow side of ourselves, by acknowledging those parts of ourselves that we'd rather keep hidden, we can actually start to heal those wounds and become more whole and complete individuals.
Okay, so that's the shadow. What else is there?
Well, there's also the anima and animus.
Hold on. I'm still trying to wrap my head around the shadow. This is a lot to process.
And we're just scratching the surface. But that's the beauty of Jungian psychology. There's always more to discover.
This is already blowing my mind, and we haven't even gotten to myths yet, which, by the way, I'm dying to talk about because Man and His Symbols is full of them.
And those myths, they're not just ancient stories. They're like these maps to the collective unconscious. They can teach us so much about ourselves, about the human condition.
All right, well, let's take a quick break, and then we'll dive into the world of myths and what they reveal about our shared human experience. You know, it's funny, isn't it? We live in this world surrounded by symbols, right? But we rarely stop to think about what they really mean. Like there's this whole other layer of meaning just below the surface.
It's true. We take it for granted. But symbols, they're powerful things. Jung would say they're the language of the soul.
And not just our individual souls, right? This is where that idea of the collective unconscious comes in, again.
Exactly. Those ancient myths, those stories that have been passed down for centuries, they're not just entertainment. They're like these windows into the collective unconscious.
So it's like those stories, they're tapping into these universal truths about like what it means to be human.
Exactly. And they're full of archetypes, too, which is why we connect with them so strongly,
Yeah.
even today, right?
Yeah. Like, even if we've never actually fought a dragon in real life, we can still relate to that idea of, like, facing our fears and overcoming obstacles.
Exactly. It's like those stories are speaking to something deep within us, something that recognizes those patterns, those archetypal themes.
It's like we're all connected through these stories, even across cultures and across time. It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it.
It really is. And it shows just how powerful these symbols and archetypes can be.
So how do we apply all of this, in our own lives? Like, I'm walking away from this deep dive with a whole new appreciation for symbols, but what do I do with that?
Well, I think the first step is just becoming aware. Start paying attention to the symbols that pop up in your own life.
Okay, like what?
Well, it could be anything. Dreams, of course. I talked about that.
Yeah.
But also pay attention to the books you're drawn to, the movies you watch, even the art you're drawn to. Those can all be clues about what's going on in your unconscious.
So it's like our unconscious is trying to communicate with us through these things if we just know how to listen.
Exactly. And that's where man and his symbols can be so helpful. It gives us the tools to start decoding those messages.
This deep dive has really been incredible. We've explored the hidden world of symbols, delved into the mysteries of the unconscious, and even uncovered the secrets of our dreams.
We did. We journeyed into those deep, sometimes shadowy parts of ourselves and found, well, hopefully, a little more understanding, a little more wholeness.
I know I did. And if you're listening out there, remember, you have a unique symbolic language too. It's waiting to be discovered. So keep dreaming, keep exploring those hidden depths. You might be surprised by what you find.